The distant village of Komura is under siege by a horde of crazed monsters. At their tail, an apex predator who ransacked the village just decades before. You are the hunter, the one assigned to protect the village. Monster Hunter is a series founded on deep, complex gameplay, but is it right for you? And that's what I'll be trying to briefly explore today. This is not a review, this is not my personal opinion. These are just a look at some of the factors that you might want to consider if you're thinking about getting into this series. But if you'd like to hear my personal opinion on this game, and a few of the things I liked, a few of the things I didn't like, then hit subscribe and you'll know when part B video comes along. That'll be one for those who have played the game and don't mind spoilers and want to just kind of chat through things and get someone else's take on things. For now though, I want to explore, spoiler free, any considerations you might want to take into account if you're thinking of getting into this game. Maybe your time considerations or difficulty or approachability. So then, let's do this. Gameplay wise, we are dealing with a real-time action game, so this isn't turn-based. You'll go out onto missions on one of several maps to hunt down a particular target. Missions themselves typically last between 5 to 30 minutes depending on your expertise. So, if you get in regular play sessions of say an hour long, you can get 1 or 2 missions done in that time. This game can be enjoyed quite happily as a single player experience, but there is the option to join in with friends, up to 4 of you at once. There is no crossplay though, so you will need to coordinate so that you're all working on the same system. However, random people can be called in to help, or sometimes hinder, if required. And just to reassure you, you do not need to have played any of the prior games in the series. The characters and the story do not carry across, it's a fresh experience every single time. How combat works is that each monster has a set number of moves that they can perform, and they will almost always signal what they are about to do as some kind of action. As you learn this movement, you'll use this knowledge to determine how to avoid damage, and also to identify when to attack, continuing this dance until victory. In terms of the playstyle itself, well, there are 14 different weapon categories. Think of these as 14 different playstyles, all immediately available from the beginning. From hack and slash to tanky wolves to third person shooter. If that all sounds a bit overwhelming, don't worry. You can beat any monster equally well with any weapon. So it's up to you how you want to do it. Maybe you'll specialise in one, pick a few, or maybe you'll dabble in all of them. They do say variety is the spice of life. Each weapon has an incredible amount of depth, but thankfully, the Monster Hunter community is full of amazing people who have gone above and beyond to make guides for all aspects of the game, so you are not alone. I, for one, am planning to make a guide to the Lance, once I actually get it finished, that is. In terms of approachability, I imagine this game could be quite overwhelming if you're new to Monster Hunter. It takes time to understand all of the different gameplay systems involved, and the opening hours can kind of be death by tutorial text box. Difficulty wise, if we're talking 1 being easy and 5 being brutal, I would say this is a 4 if you're new because there's quite a lot to get to grips with. However, once you're settled in, it's really more of a 3. Thematically, we are in a rural setting, styled upon an ancient Japanese village. We hunt in natural locales, like a desert, forests, and even a volcano. The monsters themselves are largely based upon birds, lizards, dragons, even cats, dogs, and spiders, each with their own quirks and gimmicks, be that elemental powers or the way they use their environment. This game has a very light-hearted and humorous tone to it. Humans live alongside bipedal cats who help run the village, and you'll go into battle alongside canine and feline companions who you can dress up in cute and goofy outfits. This is certainly not a horror game, despite however much Khezu may try. Nor are there any adult themes. Also, if it matters to you, there's no magic or spellcasting in this game, though there is the odd bit of terminology that you may have some disagreements with. In terms of overall time commitment, reaching some of the harder challenges in this game can take a while, especially if you're new to the series. Finishing this game can take you between 20 to 30 hours, but it can definitely take you a lot longer, especially if you do some of the optional content. Progression is managed in a really interesting way. There's no leveling up involved. You'll unlock harder challenges by completing certain missions. To aid in clearing these missions, you'll need to do two things. 1. Improve as a player, and 2. Upgrade your equipment. Improving as a player involves increasing your skill with the weapons that you use, understanding the monsters, and understanding how to best prepare for each hunt. Upgrading your equipment involves using the materials you gain from each hunt to craft stronger armor and more powerful weapons to aid you in taking down the harder challenges. And here's an aspect of the game that gets really interesting. See, each armor piece you create carries its own embedded skills that augment your capabilities, and eventually you'll learn to create armor sets that synergize with your favorite playstyle. In terms of narrative, I'd say that if you're looking for a really in-depth, nuanced story with diverse and complex characters, then this game probably isn't the one for you. The story is threadbare, and the characters, while charming in their own way, are kind of one note. Ultimately, the Monster Hunter series is about the moment-to-moment gameplay when you're out on missions and preparing for those hunts. And the characters you meet along the way just add to the world and add to the humour and the feeling of being there. Visually speaking, this game was developed for the Nintendo Switch, which by today's standards is a relatively underpowered console. So, while the game does run very smoothly and looks very crisp on current gen consoles, you will notice from time to time that some of the assets look a little dated. So, who is this for? I'd say this is one for those who are looking for segmented, mission-based gameplay. Those who are up for engaging with some deep gameplay mechanics that take some time to practice and hone. If you enjoy a light-hearted world with a colourful cast of characters and monsters, then you'll be right at home here. Finally, if you've finished the base game of Rise and you're curious about the Sunbreak expansion, here are a few things to consider. The first point I make is that it's a high quality product that will run you about the same time as the base game, so it's a chunky product. There will be a load more monsters than before. The existing monsters get new tricks which spices up their gameplay. There are a couple of new maps to explore. Most of the gameplay systems within the base game get expanded upon further. And finally, the story still isn't really anything to write home about, but that's fine. So anyway, I think that will be all for now. Remember to subscribe so that you know when Part B drops. That'll be one for the fans, for the geeking out. But for now, this has been Bright Sheep signing off.